Teamster Power 767 Reality Check with Jeff Schenfeld and Garfield Hooper.
All right. How's it going today, Garfield?
It's good. It's good. It's been a beautiful day outside. Just been
Yep.
doing some work outside. So
hmm
just
Yep.
trying to get my weekend squared away before we got to go back to work and start it all over again.
So today, again, we want to get into something. I mean, like a lot of other things, we're going to talk about it again. Supervisors working.
Yeah, it's so the company was not prepared, at least in my area. The company was not prepared for the sure post to continue. And despite the fact that I had heard rumors about it as far back as November,
Yeah.
like they told us about it about a week before, about right around Christmas time. I think it was like
hmm
a couple days after Christmas, the first time that our center manager said something to us about it. And as a result, we moved on past it and they continued to use the seasonal drivers and stuff like that.
Yep.
And then as soon as the 16th hit and all of our seasonal drivers went away, it was like the sky was falling because now we had, 10, 11, 12 less drivers every day. And we still have the volume. We've still got rental car. We've still got rental trucks.
Yep. Yep.
This time last year we were running 80 to 90 routes a day during the regular part
Yeah.
of the week, Tuesday through Friday. And
Yeah.
right now we're running like 100, 510 almost every
Yeah.
day. So
hmm
like as opposed to keeping some of the seasonals and hiring them on full time and
Yep.
promoting up some TCDs,
Yep.
or they just we've had supervisors working like last week. We had supervisors working several days last week. Week before that they worked almost every day.
Yeah.
And Saturdays because they'd already because they don't have enough people to run their Saturday all the Saturday routes. They
Yep.
have they have had supervisors working on Saturdays as well, so I'm making sure the Saturday drivers are filing on that stuff. And it's just the company wasn't prepared. And
Oh,
yeah,
but hey, listen, prepared. I mean, there's a thing, such thing as, not being prepared or not wanting to be prepared.
it's fair.
And again, it goes to everything else. They didn't want to. They were going to do it with as little, a few employees as possible, right?
Yeah,
We're going to just load up the trucks. We're going to keep doing it.
yeah,
And it's a load of crap. And on Saturdays normally, that's when like supervisors, whether it's in the hub or on roads, that's where they get away with murder,
yeah.
you know? And it's absolutely sickening. I mean, there are some things we can't tell the company what to do, but there's some language in there where we can, have conversations with the company about their staffing, and I don't even know if any conversations happen,
Well,
you know?
it's also important to note, just like we've spoke about this too, about the 9-5 language and being on the 9-5 list is how to
Yep.
help prevent layoffs and stuff like that. But you know, filing on the supervisors working is that's how you get people hired because for every
Yep.
hour a supervisor working, they potentially owe one of you, triple or it's double or quadruple time.
Quadruple,
Like
yeah.
in our center, the supervisors have been working so much since last summer. Every time a supervisor works, that's all quadruple time for whoever files on it.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's new
there's no
contract, quadruple
so
time.
that's so like there's no reason not to file on this. You're not filing on the supervisor. Some food supervisors like to take it real personally when you file on them. Is like they became a supervisor not to work. They became a supervisor to
Yeah.
supervisors. That's their job. It's not to work. Like you're filing on the company for not providing adequate staffing. They owe you for that.
Yep.
They know what the contract says. They signed it just like we did. So,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah. What?
important when you're filling out these supervisor working grievances that you have the right information. Like every morning, your centers should have the WORs out.
Yep.
And
Yep.
if your supervisors worked, their name should be on it. There's even a code for supervisors working. What is it?
No, I mean, not, I mean, just they put
Yeah.
them in as drivers. I mean, they put them in
Yeah.
there, and you'll see at the bottom of the last page of the WOR, it'll show them in there,
Yeah.
but they
Ours
don't always
mixes
put
them
their
in.
name.
Ours mixes them
What?
in. Like when they're like,
Oh,
yeah, ours are like in alphabetical order and they
yeah.
mix them all
Or
in.
they'll hide it, right? I
Yeah.
mean, they'll hide it, and it's a problem, and again, the supervisor's working, with on the trucks because there's not enough, because they didn't want to hire enough people or whatnot. And then in the hubs, they'll again, like we always say, if they're not using the extra work calling list, you get 100%. You better ask for 100%. If they're sending people home, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you something. A little thing happened where and I put it out there that supervisors working should be by seniority, right? And it's I could see it from, and it's supposed to go to the work to the people who are agreed, right?
Yeah.
Like and I get that, but the problem we've come across, and here's the thing: I've watched part timers. And not even just part timers. I've watched, drivers where they've seen them work and I'm going to file, and then the next day it's like crickets,
Yeah.
and they don't file it. So here's the thing: you see it, you file it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. And I just that's what it comes down to. Forget about everything else. We've always done it. Seniority and But the bottom line is, forget about everything else. Let's just do it. You see it, you file it. Stop letting them get away with murder, especially when they're working right next to you.
Yeah.
Like I said, how do you do that? They're stealing from us.
Yeah.
Like we always say, they're stealing jobs. And I mean that makes me furious. It's like they're taking away, and all this is happening because the supervisors are working because they're getting away with it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're getting, even though we're filing, but they keep getting away with it. Instead of hiring someone where they have to do the insurance, the whole thing, whatever it costs them, 60, 70, they're not doing that. They're doing it to avoid it. So file on it. Stop saying, I don't want to hear people say, well, I'm going to file on them. They did this. And the next day, they're just like
It,
nowhere to be,
don't brag about
oh,
it. Just do it. Like nobody needs to
God.
hear about it. Your stewards don't need to hear about it. Whatever. I'm
Yeah.
I'm going to file on it. Just fill out the piece of paper and hand it in. You don't need to
Yeah.
announce it to anybody. And I get what you're saying too. Like some locals do it one way and some locals do it other. And what he's mentioning when he talks about the seniority is for the longest time, the way I always understood it is if a supervisor worked, the highest seniority driver that filed on it got all the money.
Yeah.
Some locals will split it amongst everyone that files.
Which they started
Regardless.
now with us in
Yeah,
Dallas.
regardless. I can kind of see both sides. I like the seniority aspect of it more personally because I
Yeah.
think if you've been there longer, like personally, but I can also understand the argument of, getting more people involved and getting more people to file on those kinds of things. I
Let's
mean,
file.
yeah, just everybody needs to file. I mean,
Yeah.
it's one of those
Let them
things
work it out
too.
after. How? Right?
And this is another and I'm going to bring this up too because this is another aspect of it that was just recently brought up to me. That if they're bringing drivers in from other hubs, from other centers,
Mhm.
um, to work, and that's your center's work. So you could feasibly file a 48 on those drivers that are from other domiciles and get paid up to your 14 for each one of those days that they worked out of
And
their
spread it out
hours.
if you can't, if
Yeah.
and make
And
them
like
spread it out.
yeah, like say three or four drivers get together and they want to file on one driver that worked that day and all three of y'all worked 12 hours that day. Y'all can
Yeah.
only all be paid up to an extra 2 hours, but maybe
Yeah.
that guy only worked 8, so that takes care of that one full driver. He can put the company would have to pay you at time and a half, with the
Yeah.
extra 2 hours for
Absolutely.
each one of those days. So if you're seeing
Yep.
people come in from other centers to doing work in your center, file on that as well. Because once again, that's the company not hiring enough people for your center. And
Yep.
staffing is an issue. If they can't staff people, like like this is one of the issues that was in our that I brought up with my center manager is
Yeah.
we had one day last week, not last week, week before last, where the sky was falling. We had 14 people call in. That
Yeah.
was it. 14 people out of a center of 130 full-time drivers, not to mention TCDs. I think we've got about
Yeah.
8 or 10 TCDs. So 140-ish total drivers. We had 14 call in. That's 10% of the center. They couldn't handle. We had to have 2 supervisors run routes because we had
Yeah.
14 people call in.
Mm.
Now of course we had a couple people on vacation as well, but during the summer, we have 18 people on vacation
Yeah.
certain weeks during the summer, and
Mm.
they already can't staff. So we're clearly not staffed, and
Yeah.
that's on the company. And that's why I mean, obviously, obviously the management teams or the supervisors are going to argue with me about it. Oh, well, we exhausted all options. No,
Never.
you
Never.
didn't staff. Period.
No. No.
You had
Well,
staffing. You had the opportunity during Christmas to hire as many people as you wanted to,
yep.
and you
Yep.
chose not to.
That's exactly it. And taking from other buildings is trying to cheat the system, right?
Exactly.
It's trying to avoid hiring people.
Yes.
That's it. And those people, I can't tell them what to do, but if you're at a hub, that's it. You're domicile. You don't have to work anywhere else. They can't force you. Stay at your hub. That's it. It'll
Yeah.
force them to hire people,
Yeah.
force them to do it. And if they work supervisors, you file on them. And but we want them to hire people. We're
Yeah.
we're sick of the supervisors doing the work and this and it's a serious problem. It's a serious problem. And again, I'm going to say this again. For the hub, there's a call-in list. They don't use the call-in list. You make sure you tell your BA you want 100%. There's no way around it. You saw them. That's it. They're not using exhausting all means. Then they have to. And you see them sending people home. You want 100%. You want 100% anyway. But especially if those aren't happening, nope. That's it. And stop letting them get away with it.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to happen.
Yeah.
It really doesn't.
I mean, this is why Jeff and I do this, is because we want to push people to file these grievances, because this is what holds the company accountable.
Yep.
This is the only thing that they understand is costing them more money. And some would argue that they don't even understand that most of the time. But
Yeah.
it's and just to reiterate too, I'm not going to fault anybody for going to a different domicile to get their work if that's an option that
Yes.
they're given. Like I'm
Yeah.
not taking this out.
That's
I
a
don't want,
choice.
yeah, it's a choice
Yep.
that you make. And like if you like everybody's got bills to pay, they can
Mhm.
file the grievance, but that might get them paid in a couple of weeks. But if they go to another domicile and run a route today,
Yeah.
that gets them
Yeah.
their normal pay. That's not about you. That's about the company not staffing that individual center the way it's supposed to be staffed. So
Yes.
don't take our meaning as to saying that we're filing on that individual person. That's not what this is about. This is
No.
all about the company not doing what they're supposed to be doing, not ensuring. And just like just like we've had to deal with in the past, them pushing this, them putting off the hiring, them not hiring enough people, that's going to lead to people being overworked in the summer. That's going to lead to injuries. That's going to lead to potential deaths, things like that, accidents that we've had countless times, not only in our centers, but centers all across the country when the heat gets here. I don't,
Serious
yeah,
consequences
it
from
could
their
feasibly
action
cause
or
serious
inaction.
consequences. Yeah.
Yeah,
Their inaction.
and if you want to think about it this way, you can think about it two ways. One, they're putting your safety at risk, right? And two, they're taking money out of your pocket.
Yep.
You like when the company takes money out of your pocket?
Yep.
I don't think so. So I don't know any other way to think about it. I mean, so you have to hold the company accountable. That's what we're trying to say. Hold them accountable. Don't let them get away with it. Supervisors working, you file on it. Let the stewards or the BAs deal with it. Just do your part and file.
Yeah.
So
that's it.
But yeah, that's it. That's it. It's really simple. What needs to be done.
We should probably mention, what are the supervisor working articles, Jeff?
3 and 46.
3 and 46. 46 is supplemental. So
yeah. So it's we'll put something out. We'll put a little piece where where you need to file. What articles, just in case. We'll put that up, and everyone just keep filing. That's it. And they work. You file, and that's it. So glad we talked about this again. It's going to be something we're always going to talk about it because it's never going to go away, right?
Nope.
So, but for myself and Garfield, have a good day.
We all deal with national language, but on this podcast, when it comes to supplemental language, we deal mostly with the southern region. And as always, it's best to get advice from your local stewards or business agents. If you would like to reach out to us with any questions, we have an email address, 767realitycheck@gmail.com. That's 767realitycheck@gmail.com.
And remember, strong people stand up for themselves, but the strongest people stand up for others.